Welcome back to the Morning Blend. Did you know that 1 in 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's disease or some other form of dementia?
Yeah, and get this, last year caregivers provided more than 17 billion hours of service without getting any pay. Annalie Kruger is back from Care Right to talk about Alzheimer's disease and how her group can help. Thanks for being here again.
Good morning. Thank you.
Nice to have you. Let's talk a little bit about how common it is, the prevalence of Alzheimer's.
There's over 5 million people that suffer from Alzheimer's disease. And they anticipate in the year 2025 that number will increase to 7.1 million people over the age of 65 that will suffer from Alzheimer's disease.
I think most people are familiar with a lot of the symptoms, but just kind of break it down a little bit what exactly it is.
Sure. I break it down into 3 different stages, like early, middle, and late stages of Alzheimer's disease. And it's a progressive disease, and there's no cure for this disease. So it affects your memory, where you don't remember events or doctor's appointments, or you get lost when you're driving. There's personality changes and mood and behavior changes. So someone might become very suspicious. They might become very anxious or depressed as well. So it definitely changes their mood and their behavior and their personality. Behaviorally, the changes can be where they forget to dress appropriately. They don't put the proper sequence of clothing on, or sometimes they disrobe. So they take clothes off in public places. So they just lack that kind of discretion.
Yeah, that filter almost,
Right.
or that the common sense part of it. One of the things I heard somebody describe once, because we think of forgetfulness and that kind of thing, is it's not just that you can't find your keys, but once you find the key, you don't remember what to do with it.
Right, and it's more involved with that too, because it truly does impact your quality of life and your daily living. So, and then that just gets worse and worse and worse as the disease progresses.
Let's talk about the family, because you know the person with Alzheimer's is going through a lot of different changes and such, as you mentioned, but the family is also impacted quite a bit.
Absolutely, it's very devastating for the family members. Little by little, their loved one is declining, and that's why they call Alzheimer's disease the long goodbye. It's a long journey.
Sad.
It can take up to 20 years from diagnosis till death. So, you know, that's why they call it the long goodbye, because little by little, you're missing more and more of your loved one.
And I think it's really hard to make good decisions about care, because you love this person, but then there are a lot of things that people just aren't equipped to handle or to know how to care for someone, especially if you've got an aging spouse along with the person who has Alzheimer's. So what kinds of conversations do you think? I would think these are very difficult conversations in the early stages, but what kind of talking should you be doing with someone?
Definitely in the early stages, as soon as possible, have those difficult conversations as far as, Mom, if you were to have, you know, a life-prolonging disease, would you want a living, you know, have those living wills in place? Do you want to be hooked up to machines to keep yourself alive? If your heart stops, do you want to have the CPR? Have those kind of conversations and try to really get those medical power of attorneys and living will documents in place right away, while the decision-making is less impaired than what it will be. And also just, you know, keeping in mind the spiritual component. Sometimes people forget about the importance of religion or a spiritualness, you know, so keeping that in mind as well. And really getting a good understanding of what it is your aging loved one really likes, like if they like music, and getting a good sense of what their routines are, because at some point they're not going to be able to verbalize those wishes. So really getting as much information as you can. Early.
Do you help people through some of those conversations?
I do. I meet with a lot of family members that are dealing with this particular disease, and help facilitate those difficult conversations as far as what their goals are as their disease progresses, and really help not only the patient but the family member as well, because the patients also know that there's something wrong with them, and it's very scary, because most people know what Alzheimer's disease is, and when you get that diagnosis, is very, very scary, because they know the outcome.
I'm wondering what your elevator pitch is when you try to describe what Care Right Inc. does. How do you, because this is one of the ways that you help people, but there are a lot of other things that you do too.
I help families facilitate and navigate through that long-term care industry, as well as just aging in general. And so helping them do pre-planning to make sure that when there are states of crisis, that they're still acting with an educated decision, rather than frantically making decisions. So really doing a lot of pre-planning and a lot of community education and seminars and professional speaking engagements.
And speaking of, you have a small group that's coming up on understanding Alzheimer's. What will you be talking through there? Who do you want to come?
I want family members to come to this. It's a free event. It's actually at the clubhouse of the subdivision of where I live. So it's in Falcon Glen in Greenfield, and it's a free event from 2 until 4 p.m. on June 13th. And the conversation will just be very informal. It'll be an overview of Alzheimer's disease and how that disease impacts not only the patient but the family as well. So behaviors to look for, personality changes to look for, and how to best help support yourself and others that are going through that disease.
And I think that's the key, is that people need support as they're going through these changes. It's that support, it's the reassurance, it's the validation, it's the education that's key to the success in navigating through a difficult time. So first, starting with that free seminar, it's Understanding Alzheimer's. It's on Thursday, June 13th from 2 to 4 p.m. Again, on Falcon Glen Boulevard in Greenfield. It's free. To find out more about it, to register and find out details about it, you can call this phone number. It's 319-290-5214, and the website is carewriteinc.com.
Thanks,
Thank
Emily.
you.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.